Welcome back to Undefendable. We are going to be doing a Play Like a Pro guide for the newest hero on the block, the Alchemist. I did a Let's Play video with her when she was first coming out, and then I played a couple games with her in some videos, but this is going to be an actual guide. I feel like I've gotten my feet under me, my sea legs under me with her, and I can at least navigate this as best as possible. I know a lot of people will play her a little bit differently, but this is what I found that works out the most. So, the Alchemist is a high-skill, high-ceiling hero built around potions. She attaches potions to abilities, spends them for powerful effects, and uses excess potions as on-demand rerolls, giving her some of the best comeback and flexibility potential in the Dice Throne world. She excels at scaling damage through poison, forcing high-end abilities through rerolls, adapting to matchups with flexible potion placements. If you like heroes that reward planning, risk management, and creative rolling lines, Alchemist is absolutely for you. Now, let's hop into the Leaflet. So going over her Leaflet, Potions is a unique status effect. Stack limit varies because it's these little areas on the board, which I'll go over with you in a second. And ultimately, you have 4 different potions, right? You have Toxification, Cleansitude, Bolsterate, and Punchify, and they all do different things. Now, when you attach a potion, choose any one potion and place it on any open potion slot within an acceptable ability. So this is your potion slot where you can place potions. You may not attach more potions than the limit noted for each potion type. So, for instance, there's a 6 stack limit on Punchify, 2 on Bolsterate, 3 on Cleansitude, 1 on Toxification. So you couldn't have like 2 Toxifications on the board at the same time. You could only have 1 until it is used or removed. Whenever you activate an ability, you may spend any number of potions that are attached to that ability. For an offensive ability, spend at the end of the offensive roll phase. For a defensive ability, spend after resolving the effects of your defense. This token may not be transferred by any means, but can be removed. So let's go over the potions. First up, we have Punchify, a stack limit of 6. May only be attached to an offensive ability. So you cannot attach this to your defense to hit them back for 2, right? It can only be attached to offensive abilities. And ultimately, it's an add 2 damage attack modifier. Bolsterate is going to be your defensive ability, or you're preventing damage and can only be attached to your defense. Cleansitude is like status removal or heal, so may be attached to any ability, defense or offense. And when you spend it, you can remove 1 status effect from yourself or heal for 1. And then Toxification can also be attached to any ability, and when spent, you can inflict poison on a chosen player. And then Poison, receive 1 damage during upkeep. It is persistent, so it does not go away, which is really, really strong. Let's hop into her abilities. Alright, the Alchemist does not have any basic ability, right? Not like a 3, 2, or 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's go over her dice as well. Solution is her A, Composition is her B, and then Crucible is her C. So she has 3A, 2B, 1C for her dice faces, which makes them relatively forgiving. But she does not have a basic that is just like 3 of the solutions. So it's going to be Transmute, which actually is relatively easy to hit. Gain 1 CP, deal 6 damage, but you'll notice this potion slot here. So you typically can add a Toxification to inflict the poison, or a Punchify to really add some damage here as well. Hermetics is kind of like an economy or stabilization. Attach 3 potions and heal for 2. Potion Overload, this is going to be your big damage outside of your alts and your large straights. Attach 2 potions, then deal 7. You can attach them here. So if you get this ability and you have no potions on this, you can attach 2 Punchifies or a Toxification and a Punchify, etc., and activate those on the same activation of the ability. This is probably the most important ability to remember right here, the Lab. So it's a passive, and during your upkeep, attach 1 potion. You may remove any attached potion at any time to reroll 1 of your dice. And that's where your consistency or pushing for alts or rolling for open-ended large straights really comes in handy, is with that ability to remove your potions to reroll. Kind of like dinging Mira for a damage to reroll with the Huntress, for example. Diffusion, the small straight is okay. The large straight is very, very good, and you want to be pushing for the large straight and potion overload once you get like stabilized, because those are going to be your big damage and your best abilities. The draw one card here is extremely valuable. The chain reaction, kind of awkward, not really something you want to roll into, but you can hit it or if you just happen to. But with it being 5 dice, you really have to commit to it. So you really only are going to do this as if you're forced into it. This is not something you want to be chasing. And then Catalyst, attach one of each type of potion, then deal 6 undefendable damage. This is the undefendable damage option, right? So this is one, if you need to chase it, you can. And you are going to be chasing 6s with her because of your best abilities. But I'll talk about that in a second. And then Passivation, roll a 6, get a potion. Can be very strong, can be very weak. Hopefully it stabilizes or gives you at least some consistency. And then her ultimate's actually really strong, right? You're dealing roughly probably 13 to 16 damage, attaching 4 potions, spending those potions, so can be really, really good damage for the Alchemist as well. So let's hop into her cards. First things first, we'll go over her upgrades. Really, the only 2 I recommend upgrading, this is the best card for her upgrades, is the Lab. It just gives you opportunity to attach more potions during your upkeep, and it's extremely strong. This is one you're going to want to upgrade. Hopefully you find it early. If you find it late, it may not be as valuable, but this is definitely one you want to upgrade. Transmute is actually pretty good as well. For 1 CP, you're gaining a CP and you have 2 slots here. Generally, I would upgrade this ability as well, just for the CP itself. It's going to pay for itself if you do it one time. And then the others are all situational. If you feel like you're going to be rolling for potion overload, or maybe you're not going to be as heavy on the potions, maybe you're getting potion starved from status removal and things like that, then you can lean into this. But outside of that, these 3 I would not recommend upgrading unless you just wanted to, or you have a lot of CP. As for her unique cards, she actually has really good unique cards, and I tend to classify these as potion removal and potion spending, or potion giving and potion spending. So if you think about potion giving, so like Potion Master, this card is absolutely her best card, right? Attach one of each type of potion for 2 CP is absolutely amazing. Tonic and Potion Explosion are really good surprise damages. Remove a Punctify to deal 3 damage. This can close out the game for you guys with some surprise damage on your opponent. And then Potion Explosion is a really sneaky way to get some damage across as well. And just these 2 cards for 2 CP has the potential of being 7 damage, right? Toxification, Noxious. This is generally a sell, because most of the time, if you're managing her potions correctly, you're not going to need this. Life Extraction is absolutely amazing. The best potion dump or attack modifier that she has. It can be a really good kill threat. You're going to be doing 1.5 to 2 damage on this roll and healing for 1.5 or 2 on average. So really, really strong. Really, really good. Mutation. This one's pretty good as well. It's situational CP burst. So a lot of times if you're doing transmute and things like that, you're not going to need it. But if you're in a situation where you do, this is a nice way to get CP back. Girdered can be used effectively to prevent damage if your defensive dice are not working very well. Concoction is extremely flexible and efficient, and definitely one you're going to want to hold on to and play. Chemistry, it's situational, but it is useful for converting bad potions into better ones. So if you have like a Cleansitude somewhere and it just isn't being used as the way you wanted, you can remove that potion, then attach 3 potions that are different types than the one that was removed, which is really nice. And then Transmogrify, flexible status removal, especially against key effects, right? Removing Cleansitude to remove a status effect token from your opponent, basically. So if you're playing like a Paladin or a Tactician, you want to get rid of a Protect, or something that is just really good on them that you want to get rid of, this card is really, really strong. That said, let's go ahead and move these down here as the upgrades I would recommend to have, and then we are going to hop into some game plan stuff. As for let's zoom out just a tick. As for the Alchemist's game plan, right? I would say her game plan early game is just wanting to stack poisons onto your opponent. This is going to add up. Obviously, there's a threat of these being removed, and that is a real bummer. But early game, you want to get to 3 poisons as quickly as possible. Whether that's attaching it to transmute, and then getting transmute off, and then when they swing into your defense, attaching the toxification here, and now they're at 2 poisons ASAP. That is the number one goal early game, is to get poisons onto your opponent. And if you know they have abilities that are going to avoid your defense, you're going to have to get these toxifications and these poisons on elsewhere. But traditionally, you're going to get a poison on transmute, and then you're going to get another poison on pacification, hopefully, or passivation, hopefully, to get them to 2. And then you can get a little frisky with maybe pushing for this and trying to apply another one, etc. But again, early game, get 3 poisons on your opponent. Mid game, once it's on there, that's when you're going to want to start pivoting to large straights and potion overload. Large straights are extremely good. You have the ability to reroll with your potions to get this really, really aggressively. And potion overload is extremely strong as well and can do a lot of damage. And these are ones where you're going to spend your potions aggressively to try and get them to force good turns for you. And then late game, hopefully these poisons have applied enough pressure and you can start threatening your ultimate by rolling for potion overload and then finding catalyst or your ultimate and using dice mods, and then using those punchifies to convert damage, etc. Few tips, I would say, for the Alchemist. The first one, in terms of rolling, you are either looking for all 6s or no 6s. And what I mean by that is if your first roll has 2 6s, or I guess I should say, if by the end of your second roll you do not have 3 6s, you likely should bail and run, right? So you're looking for all 6s or no 6s during your roll. Second tip, do not hoard potions. Reroll them as much as you can for value. Removing poisons hurts your game plan very much so. So the more you can get on them, the better chance you're going to be able to win that game. Cleansitude should remove effects worth more than 2 damage, right? So if you have like a Phoenix Burn or let's say a stacked, targeted, etc. on you, that's where you're using Cleansitude. But if you have just something that's not going to be doing more than 2 damage, you don't need to use a Cleansitude on it. And then lastly, the skill set of Alchemist is moving your potions around and getting them in the right place at the right time. And that's what you're going to be that's where the skill comes in, and that's going to take practice, right? You're not going to be good at it to start. Matchup-wise, Alchemist is going to be strong against slow heroes, heroes with weak defenses because she doesn't have a lot of access to undefendable, and then heroes that are reliant on powerful negative status effects, right? Cursed Pirate is a good one. Although the Cursed Pirate has a really strong defense, but Parlay and things like that can be Cleansitude, which is nice on your defense or on some of your abilities. So she is going to struggle against fast aggro heroes, heroes with strong, consistent defenses, heavy, undefendable damage heroes, and then dice control heroes that just outmod her. But even in bad matchups, the Alchemist can still steal games with some high-end rolls and some potions to get those rerolls rolling, right? So, again, just to kind of talk about those that strategy of you either go for the 6s or no 6s, let me kind of dive into that really quickly for a second. So the idea there is if you roll multiple 6s early, right? So let's say like your first roll was something like this, right? If you roll multiple 6s early, commit to the 6s and try and threaten potion overload and then take the high-end catalyst or alt if you need to. Commit to those 6s. If you do not have 3 6s by roll 2, right? So if I roll these back and there you go. Look, potion overload, right? But let's say this was my roll and I do not have 3 6s by roll 2, you need to be willing to bail on this plan and try and fight for straights or transmute. That is going to be your real objectives. And you would have your potions on your board to give you the opportunity to re-roll if your third roll does not go through. Once you have 3 6s, you're safe, and then you can use potions to push for higher opportunity or higher abilities, right? Now, if in your first roll you do not roll any early 6s, this is where you play no 6s and you aim for that large straight and use transmute as a fallback. Worst case scenario, you do hermetics. This is not something you should push for. This is not a good ability for her unless you really need potions. So you're really going to be pushing for potion overload, catalyst, and chemical trip when you have 6s early. If you do not have 6s early, you're pushing for large straight with transmute as a fallback. So let's say this is a couple of roll examples. Let's say this is my first roll, and we get 2 6s. I am going to do a second roll to try and get a 6. Now that I have this third 6, I'm going to go potion overload, roll 2. Okay? Let's do another roll. Again, all 6s or no 6s. Okay, so we have a 6 here. And this is one where I would still potentially throw this back. I mean, that was pretty lucky, but boom, potion overload. All right, let's do another roll. See what we get. All right, we have a 6. We're going to throw this in. Now, this is one where we have this small straight, and now I would actually pivot to attempting to go for this diffusion and then transmute as my fallback. So I'm going to throw this in here. We end up not getting the large straight, but this is where you can use your potions, right? So I can either go for my small straight here, but if I have potions and I want to push for a transmute or I want to try and push for a large straight again, this is where I can start re-rolling and seeing what I can find out of that, right? And that is the safe bet, right? If you by the end of your second roll do not have the ground to go for overload, you have to pivot. You have to be open to pivoting. Here's another good example, right? No 6s. This is where I'm pivoting to trying to go for the large straight. We have 3, 4, 5, 6. One more roll. We're going to throw that back. And now I can try and potentially push for a 2 with my potions for rerolls. Let's do one last one just so we can kind of see what it looks like. There you go. Potion overload. But that was my first roll, so I might actually throw these 2 back, and now I go for potion overload or see what my dice look like. Let's do another one, assuming we got no 6s. Let's say like this was our starting roll. And this is one where I would likely throw those back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, there you go. Large straight. Okay? So again, you either push for 6s. If there's no 6s on the first roll, you're pushing for straights or transmute. Let's keep a 5 here. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where are you going? Where are you going? 4 or 5. This one isn't looking too sexy. Okay, and this is actually a really good example. Really awkward situation, but let's say I had a Punchify. I could cash that Punchify in to throw this back, and there you go. I got Catalyst. Now, maybe I had a Cleansitude, and I want to get frisky. Ugh! Right, I probably wouldn't do that, but that's one where, again, we got a 6, which is great, but a 1, 2, or 3 would have been good as well, because that would have given us the potion overload in that situation, right? Yeah, and that's really how you are going to want to play the Alchemist. Don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.